Good afternoon. We're going to tie a parachute version of, well, it's a Hendrickson or other common eastern mayfly imitation here today. As I've written on the blog, translucency in the fly is one of my kind of goals this year. And I rediscovered a material I used and sold in my shop 20 odd years ago in pure silk dubbing. The Kreinick Company in West Virginia has made it for all those years, and recently I found another distributor which Larvalace has some. We're going to be using some of Charlie Collins' very beautiful Duncree hackle today. I like different shades of hackle very often for my flies. If your fly is a good imitation, but it looks a little bit different than all the hundreds of other flies that get thrown at a very selective wild trout, I think that you've got a little bit of greater chance of the fish being interested in taking a shot at your fly. So we're going to measure in the tailing material, again that same hackle. Build up a little bit of a bump of thread there with a few wraps in, pop the thread up, and that pulls the hackle, the tail into position, but it spreads the fibers, so you get a little bit of a better support on the water that way. That is an old AK Best trick. I was fortunate many years ago to actually learn to tie parachutes from AK. And I guess it was probably the very first fly tire symposium held out in western Pennsylvania. We're going to be using Antron yarn in a dark olive dun color. Looks mainly dark gray to me, but regardless. And we'll clip that loop out of there. And we'll have 3 thicknesses for a size 12 fly. We'll be just forward of the middle of the hook shank to tie this wing in. Tie it down about 6 turns, and I use a very fine thread. This is an old Sue Burgess AU thread, which was a 14/0 size. Haven't been able to find it. Still on the market, is still available, at least not in this country. But the Giorgio Benici 12/0 and some of the new Vivas threads come down in these finer sizes. I like a fine, very fine thread like this because you can take a few extra wraps tying in your materials, your fly is more durable, and you don't build up the bulk. So we'll stand that wing up with, again, with the fine thread, maybe 15 wraps. You can put a drop of cement at the base of the parachute post, but you don't have to. And then we're going to post it. And you come up just about as far as you expect to wrap your hackle, no farther than that. And make a couple of trips up and down that area. Get that post nice and strong. And we'll take a dubbing needle and just kind of free up and pick through the yarn fibers a little bit. Pull it up to get our wing height and cut it off. The silk dubbing is very fine, and you can just pull a little bit of it out of the kind of a wad in the package. And you can see that material there on the camera. It's pretty thin. A little bit of dubbing wax on the thread, and I like to work a little bit into my thumb and forefinger. And then we start dubbing the thread. This material is so fine and so nice that you can just kind of add fibers, as I'm doing, as you work your way down your thread to get your taper in there. Because, you know, it's just, you know, really more so than any of the other dubbings, natural or synthetic, that I've ever tried. The silk is very fine filament, gives you great control and beautiful translucency. When that fly gets wet, you try it, you'll see what I mean. Be gentle on the first couple wraps of body material there near the tail. Put some dubbing in front of the wing as well. And that's enough to get the basic body done. We'll take our hackle, get down to where it's a very fine amount of web, and cut it off. We'll pull a few fibers from the base on each side. Take a couple extra fibers off on the what'll be the inside, the side that's closest to the post that's going to be wrapped first. It'll start your wrap of your hackle off a little better that way. And the shiny side, the convex side of your hackle should be up with the natural cup of the fibers down, because that's how you're supporting the fly. Tie that in, tie it around in front, clip, and then we'll go back for a little bit more dubbing, and we'll finish up that front and rear section of the body to make a nice clean thorax and a nice smooth, natural looking fly. Just a bit more. And if you can, I don't know if the camera will quite pick up just how fine and sheer that material is, but it's really terrific, and you'll be really pleased when you see the translucency of the fly. So we'll do a couple wraps behind either side there to build up our thorax. Then we'll take our hackle pliers and wrap our hackle. If you're fishing only parachutes in very flat water, 2 turns of hackle is plenty. There's 1, there's 2. If you want your fly to be a little more versatile, if you're going to fish it in faster water, or a drift boat or something like that, where you're doing a lot of work with it, long downstream casts and bringing it back, you can do as much as 3 or 4 wraps of hackle. But you want to make your first toward the top of your threaded wrap portion of the post, and then you want to work down toward the base, so you're almost rubbing the top of the fly body with it. Reach over, pull it back, pinch wrap, and about 5 or 6 wraps to really lock that down. And you can sneak your scissors tips in here, cut that off, and you can grasp them again and use a whip finisher, or you can simply do a couple of half hitches here. Then we can, grasping them like that gives you a lot of control. You're not worried so much with trapping hackle fibers and whatnot. It does pull things out of shape a little bit, so you can simply just kind of dress it back into shape afterwards. And that's a tan body. It's a very nice Hendrickson imitation. If you're more of a generalist, a light tan body like this can work for Cahills and a lot of flies. You may want to do a lighter wing material for a Cahill or something like that. March browns. There's a lot of the early season May flies, early June mayflies. You can use that same coloration for. So it's kind of a general imitated pattern. So we hope you get a chance to try some of the silk bodied flies and see that translucency, and make your flies look a little more lively. Thanks for watching.